The first sound was a laughter. Not her laughter. The woman I married had a warm, easy laugh that came from somewhere real, deep in her chest. This sound was sharper, brittle, too polished. The kind of laugh you fake when you're trying to impress someone. It came from her phone, buzzing on the kitchen counter. At first, I didn't mean to look. I was just putting away the dishes when it lit up. A message slid down the screen, glowing in the dim light like a blade. Daniel briefcase. Still thinking about last night. You looked incredible. Let me take care of you, Maya. You deserve better. The words hung there, perfectly clear, while my brain tried to catch up. Let me take care of you. My stomach dropped. The sound of the shower ran upstairs, steady, muffled, oblivious. I could almost hear her humming through the water. My first instinct wasn't rage. It was disbelief, the kind that freezes your body before your mind even processes what's happening. Then came the smallest, ugliest laugh, a sound that didn't feel like it belonged to me. I scrolled. I shouldn't have, but of course I did. Dozens of messages, weeks of them. Conversations dressed up as business, appointments, lunch meetings, late reports. But beneath the surface, there it was, the slow slide from professional to personal. Compliments, pet names, promises. He was a banker. She'd met him while trying to negotiate refinancing after my last freelance contract fell through. The man who helped us figure things out. And he had, just not in the way I thought. When the shower stopped, I placed the phone back exactly where I'd found it. My reflection in the microwave door looked foreign. Blank eyes, mouth slightly open, like I was watching someone else's life implode. "Hey!" She called from upstairs, her voice light, casual. "You still up?" I forced myself to answer, "Yeah." She pattered down the stairs wrapped in a towel, damp hair clinging to her neck. She looked beautiful, familiar, terrifying. "You okay?" she asked, reaching for her phone. "Fine," I said, my throat tight. Couldn't sleep. She smiled, a small, distracted thing, and kissed me on the cheek. Her lips were warm, the same lips that had said, "We'll get through this together." I watched her scroll quickly through her messages, thumbs flying, probably deleting, probably him. "Everything okay?" I asked. She froze for just a second. "Yeah," she said softly, too softly, "just checking something for Wyke." "Work." "Right." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while she slept beside me, her breathing slow and even. I replayed the last few months in my head. The new perfume she claimed was a sample from the office, the late dinners, the sudden insistence that we deserved nice things. I remembered her saying that phrase, "We deserve nice things," as she slipped on a necklace I hadn't bought her. I hadn't even noticed at the time. The next morning, when she left for a meeting, I went to the drawer where we kept the bills. I found our household ledger, something I'd kept obsessively since the debt started years ago. Rent, utilities, groceries, her small art commissions. Every number had meant survival. I flipped through the pages until I saw it. Irregular deposits labeled consulting fees. $3,000, then $5,000, then $2,500. Each came from a company name that looked unfamiliar, DFH Capital Management. Daniel's initials. The numbers blurred as I stared at them. He hadn't just been buying her affection. He'd been paying for us. For my life. For the illusion of a marriage that had already died. That night, she came home glowing. She bought Take-8, Thai, our favorite, and opened a bottle of wine. "Good news," she said, smiling too brightly. "Daniel says the loan consolidation's finally going through. Things are looking up." I nodded. "That's great. Honey." I don't know how I did it. I laughed when I needed to laugh, touched her hand when I was supposed to, even toasted to new beginnings. The whole time, a cold, detached part of me was cataloging every detail, her tone, her phrasing, the way her eyes darted whenever she mentioned his name. That night, when she kissed me, I let her, but something inside me was gone. Days turned into weeks. I said nothing. I worked, cooked, pretended. I wanted to understand before I acted. Betrayal like this doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, patient, systematic. I needed to know how deep it went, So I watched her. Carefully. She started dressing differently. Nicer. New clothes that didn't match our budget. She carried herself with a new kind of confidence. 2. The kind people wear when they think they are finally winning. I checked her calendar, her receipts, the mileage on her car. The truth became a map. Every lie connected to another, winding towards something inevitable. Once, late at night, I heard her whispering on the phone in the bathroom. I stood outside the door, barely breathing. I can't talk long. Yes, I got it. No, he doesn't suspect anything. Daniel, please, not tonight. Hearing his name from her mouth felt like a punch. I wanted to storm in, to shout, to demand the truth I already knew. But instead, I went back to bed, because I realized something chilling. Anger would only free her. If I exploded, she'd cry, apologize, twist the story. She'd make herself the victim of my pain. And maybe I'd forgive her. I couldn't let that happen, so I stayed quiet. And in that silence, something dark began to take shape. I started learning about Daniel. It wasn't hard. Bank executives love publicity. His LinkedIn profile read like a resume of arrogance. Senior partner, risk analyst, ethical investment specialist. He had a wife, 2 kids, a perfect family photo with matching Christmas sweaters. That detail stuck. He wasn't some mysterious stranger. He was another man pretending, another person selling an image of control. And that's when I realized what my revenge would look like. Not loud, not messy, just balanced. I gathered every message, every receipt, every payment transfer between Maya and DFH Capital. I organized it in a private folder on my laptop, labeled innocently as Q4 budget projections. Then I wrote a short, anonymous email to the bank's internal compliance department. Potential unreported client reimbursements connected to senior partner Daniel Hollis. Suggest audit of private account number 9243 and associated external transfers. No names, no accusations, just breadcrumbs leading to the truth. I didn't press send that night. I sat staring at the screen, finger hovering over the mouse, my heart pounding. This wasn't justice. It was a sentence. I thought of Maya, her tired eyes, the small tremor in her voice when she said, "We'll be okay." Maybe she really believed it. Maybe he did, too. But I pressed send anyway. The email flew off into the void, quiet and irreversible. When she came home that night, humming, smiling, touching my shoulder like nothing had changed, I looked at her and thought, "You have no idea the world is already shifting beneath you." She leaned down, kissed the top of my head, and whispered, "Love you." I smiled back, "Love you too." And in that moment, the lie felt cleaner than the truth. By the time the fallout began, I almost forgot what real peace sounded like. The kind that comes before everything cracks. It started with a phone call. I was fixing coffee when I heard her voice in the living room. Sharp, panicked, stripped of its usual confidence. "What do you mean, audit?" she hissed into the phone. "You said it was handled, Daniel." The words sank in slow, deliberate, poisonous. I didn't move. I just listened. They found what? No, it was all legitimate. He told me. Silence. Then her voice again, smaller. "You can't let this destroy everything." She hung up. A full minute passed before she realized I was standing in the doorway. Her face froze. "Liam, hey." Her voice tried for calm and failed. "How long have you been there?" "Long enough." Something flickered in her eyes, a mix of guilt and fear and something else, calculation. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "It's not what it sounds like." "It never is," I said quietly. She stepped closer, her hands trembling. "Please, let me explain." I let her. She told me everything, or at least a version she thought I could handle. How Daniel had offered her consulting work to help with the refinancing paperwork. How it just happened. How she didn't mean for it to go that far. How it felt like a way out. Every phrase was a rehearsed apology built from fragments of truth. And the money? I asked. The transfers from DFH Capital. Her face went pale. How do you know about that? I keep track of everything, I said. That's what I do. Remember? Numbers don't lie. Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. I just watched her unravel. They're investigating him, she said, her voice breaking. Something about unauthorized payments and missing client funds. If they think I was involved. They might, I interrupted. Your name's on the invoices. She stared at me, eyes wide. You knew? I nodded. I did. A tremor passed through her like a shiver of realization. Liam, what did you do? I could have lied. I could have said I'd found out too late, that I had nothing to do with it. But lies had built the wreckage we were standing in. I was done with them. I sent the audit report. I said. My voice was calm. Controlled. Anonymous tip. The transactions spoke for themselves. Her knees gave out. She sat down hard, clutching the edge of the table like it was the only solid thing left. Oh, my God. I didn't name you, I added softly, but I didn't protect you either. Her breathing came in quick, shallow bursts. She covered her face with her hands. Why would you do that? I wanted to tell her, because you killed something in me, and I needed to see something die in return. But all I said was, because the truth deserves to exist. She looked up at me then, eyes red, and for the first time in years, I saw her stripped of everything. No charm, no excuses, no pretense. Just a woman who'd gambled with love and lost everything that mattered. I loved you, she whispered. No, I said, you love what I couldn't give you. Her tears came harder, but they didn't move me. She tried to reach for me, and I stepped back. The distance between us felt like a canyon that had been growing for years. Liam, please, she said, her voice breaking. You have to understand. I was scared. Every month it was bills, debt, panic. I thought if I could just fix it, make things easier for us, we'd be okay. He offered security. And you sold trust for comfort, I said quietly. There's a difference. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the rain against the windows. Finally, she whispered, what happens now? I don't know, I said. Maybe you try to rebuild. Maybe you disappear. And you? She asked, voice trembling. I smiled, thin, tired. I start over. When I walked out the door that night, she didn't stop me. Weeks passed. The investigation made the news. A short article buried beneath bigger headlines. Bank executive under scrutiny for fraud allegations. Daniel's photo looked different now. Defeated, hollow-eyed, the same arrogance curdled into shame. He was suspended pending internal review. I didn't need to read between the lines. He was finished. As for Maya, she lost her job. The audit trail linked her consulting work to questionable reimbursements. She wasn't charged, but she was blacklisted, quietly erased from every office she applied to. I heard from her once after that. A single voicemail, left at 3 a.m. I hope you're happy. Liam, you got your truth. You got your justice. I hope it keeps you warm at night. I deleted it, but her voice stayed. The truth didn't keep me warm. It kept me awake. Every night, I'd sit at the kitchen table of my new apartment, staring at the old ledger I couldn't throw away. I'd run my fingers over the ink lines, the careful columns of numbers that once represented a shared life. Rent, groceries, savings, love, it was all math once. Measurable, manageable, until it wasn't. I started to see something else in those pages, not accounts, but confessions, proof of how quietly people can destroy each other without ever raising their voices. The ledger had always been about balance, and I'd finally achieved it. But balance isn't peace. It's the stillness after an earthquake, when everything's already broken. 3 months later, I saw her again. It was by accident. A grocery store, a different part of town. She was thinner, pale, her hair shorter. She looked older in a way that had nothing to do with time. Our eyes met across the aisle. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she gave a small, hesitant nod. I nodded back. No words, no explanations left to give. She turned away first. As I watched her walk off, I felt something unexpected. Not victory, not regret, but a dull ache of understanding. She hadn't been born cruel. She'd just been afraid. And fear makes people do unforgivable things. So does pride. That night, I took the ledger, the book that had once defined our entire lives, and turned to the last page. Blank, empty, waiting. For a long time, I sat with a pen in my hand, unsure what to write. Finally, I wrote 2 words, paid in full. Then I closed it for good.